So I've been doing a little bit more on the Mark 1 Sierra. I've replaced a really horrible rot hole it had along that side. So basically all this area here had just rotted through and there's just a jaggedy old bit of metal left. So I've cut all that out and welded in a fresh bit of steel, made it a lot better. Got this corner to sort out here in the boot floor. Not sure what's going on there. I'm going to have to pull all that off because I've got a rear wheel arch repair panel for it to go in. Yeah, so just doing a little bit more. I am slowly making one good car out of the pair, swapping bits and pieces over. Just swapped over the passenger's rear door for the pink purple one, because the pink purple doors are absolutely solid, they're really nice, and the doors that were on the yellow one were absolutely rotten as a pair, so all the bottoms are good. It's pouring down with rain at the moment, so yeah, it should make my track slash rally car a little bit better. As I say, I've got a wheel arch repair to do on this side. Cut all this off. This is messy and horrible. Make a nice neat job of that as and when. And just swapping the yellow doors onto the pink purple Sierra just so it's closed up, because it is a shed effectively, putting stuff in it. So I'll have a look at swapping over the passenger's front door next. So that's all four doors swapped over on the Mark 1 Sierra from the Mark 2. It's a bit frosty this morning. So they're all bolted up and they close, which is good. Wasn't too bad. The worst part was the roll cage being in the way. There's a bit of grease on that, but yeah, I'm happy. She's looking alright. It's nice and solid again. Slowly getting there with the shell. Third time lucky. So I'm doing a bit more on the Sierra. I've got it up in on the ramp and tackling a bit of rot today. It's a bit rotten around this rear corner. As you can see, I've pulled this piece of fiberglass over under seal off, and also this piece here. So someone's made a body repair with it. The rest of the car's reasonably solid apart from this corner. I've repaired the driver's rear corner already, and this is what we're facing. So a big old hole. I'm going to trim back all of this interior because it's a track car. I'm trimming all this back. I can always put a little bit of angle down there so it's got a lip for something to bolt to. This section of the boot fall's okay. I have been removing the sound deadening and it looks reasonably solid. So yeah, I've put this side together, welded a bracket in there to hold the bumper. The bumper's on quick release bonnet pins as it were, so that'll come, that's all lined up ready for it to clip in. It wants a little bit of just filler work on that little bit of arch there, but it's not bad at all. Boot lid, I've removed the XR4 spoiler because it was broken and hanging off. I've started removing some of my race numbers off the doors so I can get MOT on it. I've also fitted my new bonnet. So a mate of mine had this and it's in cracking condition. An original Mark 1 bonnet that he had for an XR 4x4 back in the day. Grills on, the headlights are back in, I've cleaned them out. Clean the glasses and lenses up and put them back in. I've been doing an awful lot of cleaning up wiring terminals and connections on it to get lights working. So we have a full house of lights at the moment, even the fog light works. So I'm happy with that. So it's literally this last piece of welding, other than the door bars that need welding into the roll cage, but that's not needed right now. I'm going to have a look at cutting this out and see what we're left with. Left that edge there as I've got somewhere good to go to. Don't know this crap is in the wheel arch. Have a look. Try and expose some of that foam. To see what all this rubbish is holding. I have got an outer wheel arch there, which I intend to use on this side as it's particularly scabby. Oh god. Yes, that's quite rotten there, you. All this foam, where it's foam, is just absorbing moisture, it's soaking wet. God, whoever did this needs a word. Yummy. Oh, there's so they've chucked a load of fiberglass in here and resined over the top, but they've just chucked it in over rust, I suppose. Look at that, I can pull it out. God, I don't know why people have to bodge stuff. Chances are it would have took that much longer to make up all that fiberglass and bodge it all in like that than it would to cut it out, weld a fresh piece in. But who knows? This whole rear wing, I think, is held on with fiberglass. So we have this rear arch repair panel, which this arch has been cobbled together and got focus. Cobbled together in the past, so it's not pretty. This whole rear is just a bit manky and horrible. This is obviously going, which is what I'm doing now, boot floor in this corner. I'm going to cut it to about here, bring this piece in and then fillet a piece of steel in there, so that should be nice and strong. So my arch is going to sort of go there. I don't quite know if I shall keep it that high. I might cut it a bit lower, but that certainly replaces all that with some good steel. Cut the top of the sill bit there because it's had new sills, fillet it down to there, and then hope that the inner's got something to go off of. It looks okay. This bit here needs a go around with the welder, but that's okay. I can cut that back and sort it out. So yeah, I'll cut this bit off next. That's left a neater edge to go to for the repair anyway. I'll have a look at putting a piece in there with the drop down for the, like I've done the other side, so it's got bumper support on it. So I've done a little bit more welding, trying to tidy that little area up. I'm not too worried about that outer panel as I've got a wheel arch repair for that, but I've repaired the inner with some 2mm. I'm going to cut a piece out next to repair the boot floor and then try and get that welded up, make a nice job with that one. So there's my boot floor repair panel I've made up. Bit of 2mm steel, made it all nice and clean there, cut it and shaped it to fit that rear section of boot. I'm going to have a look at welding it in next. Well, that's in. It's not the prettiest bit welded in the world, but she's nice and solid again. Obviously ignore the holes in that bit there because I have got a wheel arch panel that's in the outer wing panel, but that's looking alright. I'll tidy that up and get some paint on it. So Sierra's all done. I've painted it up with some chassis black. A little bit of damp's got in where it's leaked around the window because it's not bonded anymore. It's come out of the bottom. But that's okay. That side's all painted up as well, so the Sierra's looking pretty good now. I've swapped over the rear strut brace for my mk1. This is what I had in there before, but it rattled about, something chronic. So I swapped that one out. Still ready to strip some sound deadening out for it. The new number plates have arrived, so I've got to fit those. I've swapped a few bits and pieces in the car and got a few bits of trims out my scrap one. So yeah, she's coming on quite well. I've got the front OMP strut brace to fit, but I need to modify it a tiny bit as this has a set of coilover struts in there instead of normal Sierra ones. So I'm doing a bit more on the Sierra this morning. I managed to get the electric window motor in the driver's door working. I fished these out of my stock of parts, and I've put together a loom. The loom's sitting there in the car and I've got ignition live to it, so hopefully I've got continuity to the plugs going to the doors. So I stripped these ones out my scrap Sierra this morning. I fitted the passenger side one in. This is the driver's side one, so that's the plug that plugs into the loom, and then those two go to the motor on the door. So I'll have a look, see if we can get those bits working, because that would be nice, having the electric windows, the front ones working. So here's my plug for the driver's electric window, and here's my plug that goes up to the motor in the door. I have peeled off the window tinting stuff, remnants of it about here, because it was really dark. I haven't done the passenger side yet, but that's another job to do. The wiring is a bit of a mess on this one, but I am tidying it up bit by bit. Hopefully we'll go through here. This should also help seal up any areas that have got holes going into the body. So obviously with the grommets in, I'm not going to be an issue. Other wiring I managed to sort is the coolant gauge, the temp gauge. That did not work, and it was just because this car was a 2-litre injection car, there's a lot of wiring left over from the ECU. So that I chased back and found the proper wiring for the temp gauge, so that when I wired it up, it then started working. After I then changed the temp sensor in the engine, because that was playing up too, so by earthing that, it told me the gauge was the right wire anyway. So yeah, fun and games with the wiring on this whole thing. Thing is, it's been chopped about so much in the past. Underneath here, someone's cut through the whole loom, and it was just a mess of Scotch blocks and tape. So I took all that off and soldered very painfully each wire and heat shrink the connections. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, every wire was sawn through. And then I've got this mess to deal with here. odds and ends. There's Scotch locks here, there's odd wiring here. The loom for the windows I fished back yesterday is here. So that will then, someone's obviously just cut the whole off. That should run under this panel and up to the switches that go here, which I found in the shed there. Also got the gaiter out of the scrap car. Looks like 2 of the rivnut bits are missing, but I'm going to put something in there to hold the gaiter back in so this big hole can be filled. But yeah, bit by bit she's coming on. I don't have the plug end that goes onto these. These were the wires out of the other car. I don't know what happened to the wiring for this car. It's long gone. But I'm going to put some crimp terminals on. Cool. So blue is yellow, just to keep things really mixed up. Do the same with this side. I'd just tape those up when I fed them through the rubber gaiter there, because the wires kept getting stuck. This window was, I powered it up with the probe. I couldn't get it to work, but it was clicking. So I think it's just a case of freeing it up. It's obviously not worked for such a long time. That's what I did with the driver's side. And then once it freed, it started working nicely. So I lubricated the channels so the window could go up and down nicely. This here is my extended harness that's on the switches. I'll have a look at putting those. That little pan out. Probably ought to strip this carpet out whilst we're here. Car has got the brake pipes and the fuel lines routed here. This is the fuel line in a braided, and then your brake pipes going to the back. So that's been done nicely. I've just retrieved these parts out my scrap Sierra. Had to drill the mountings out for the plastic piece there. It's not the best condition piece in the world, but it'll certainly go again. I'll have a look at installing that. Put a couple of clips in there for the threads, and might be able to just hold a nut and a washer under. We'll have a look. So I've bolted in my piece out the other car and put the first gaiter over. I've got this second gaiter. He can go over. I had a quick look round on eBay. It was a few prices of stuff, what stuff's going for. Sierra bits at the moment are seemingly to be through the blooming roof. This gaiter, someone had a gaiter like this for sale, £100 they wanted. Just, I suppose, where'd you get them from now, but it just seemed a hell of a lot of money for old Sierra parts. But they are becoming scarce. Gaiter's now fitted. Got a quick shift in this car, which is quite nice. I'll have a look at putting the surround back and then the wires. So I've just got my switches in, pushed my wiring loom through along out of the channel and following some of the other loom around the back there, so he can solder up to him. And we'll have a look at putting the black bit of trim back and fitting the switches in next. surround is in. Plug the window switches in. And these little fellas should just live. And there. Cool, so we have switch gears for the windows installed and the boot. I've just tinned the wiring loom up here, a bit of solder. I put the heat shrink on. Always important to put that on before you solder the wires, otherwise you'll end up with a load of bare connections. Try and do this so you can see. That's all my wires soldered together. So I'm going to run the heat shrink over and we'll put that on next. Cool, that's that bit done. Test if they work and then I'll wrap that up in some tape. Okay, that's something. So I don't know if I've been actually quite clever here or not, but this window motor does not work. It clicks but doesn't do anything. So I've just unbolted the 2 bolts that hold it to the regulator and dropped the motor off rather than popping all the pot rivets out the door panel and taking the regulator off that way. I thought I'll give it a try. So I've got the motor out. It looks nice and greased up, so it doesn't look like it's full of watery gunk. So I'm just going to put it on my power pack and see if we've got anything going on with it. So it's not doing anything, so I think this motor's seized. So I'll have a look at freeing it up. Unfortunately, that motor is seized up. I have got it to turn a bit, and if you give it a bit of power and try and turn it, it does kind of help it along. I'll leave it soaking in some penetrating oil and see what happens, but I'm going to strip the motor off this one that I know works and just put that in, so hopefully we'll have electric windows again. So I put the motor back in. I've put a battery on the car as I'd had to rob it to go on something else. Let's see. Not brilliant, but it's working now. I have put plenty of oil in it. It's getting better with more use. So that's my Sierra rally car now MOT'd as well. So that's been well worth the work this week that I've put into this. The hours have been quite long. Still need to set the front suspension ride height a bit better. Got some new springs on it, but it can certainly come down another couple of inches there. The wheels on it probably aren't going to be the ones I keep on it, although I quite like them. They're Ford Motorsport ones, so I might have a look, see if I can get some bigger tyres for it. Certainly a head turner, looking like it does.
Thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.